It's the most wonderful time of the year.
So I've got everybody, the kids and everybody, and after waiting in line for an hour to see the world premiere of this thing, I finally get up to the cashier to buy my ticket. When you know it, I didn't have my wallet with me. Talk about a letdown.
Well, Girl on the Train was a shitty movie anyway. Wait, fuel imbalance?
Less on the left side at the moment, which is weird since the fuel flows have been equal since takeoff.
World Travel 1392.
I'll just turn on the cross feed. I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right?
World Travel 1392, switching, thanks. Molly Center, World Travel 1392 with you level at 350.
World Travel 1392, roger.
It's possible that it's a fuel quantity gauge malfunction and not a real imbalance, but given the rate at which... Engine surge number 1. That's the low fuel side. Disengage the auto throttle and bring the thrust lever back to idle.
Oh no, fuck you, I'm not putting it back to idle.
I'll call ATC. You squawk 7700, then we'll run through the checklist. Just keep flying. Molly Center, World Travel 1392 declaring...
Actually, hold on. I am actually going to do this a little bit differently because if any of you are familiar with this is one of the standard missions that come into Flight Simulator 10. By the way, I figured out that this mission would be quite the horror, game if I were to think about it, a horror mission. So this is why it's a part of my Halloween Motherfuckers series. Anyway, so they're gonna give us two options. One of them is Male, and then another one I believe is Hanamaru. Hanamaru is usually the one that you choose, but not in this case. And there's a reason. Well, the reason being is that I like a challenge. And secondly, well, the runway's shorter, and you're almost guaranteed to overshoot it. So, figured, why not just go with the challenge? I'm gonna go with Male. There we go. Now I'm gonna change it to VOR lock. Flight director is on. Also, I'm going to see if I can change it from nav to GPS. Alright, it's already on GPS, so we're good.
Emergency.
World Travel 1392, go ahead.
Molly Center, World Travel 1392. We have an engine failure and a suspected fuel leak. We'll be unable to maintain flight level 350. Request an immediate descent.
World Travel 1392, roger. Descend at your discretion to 10,000.
Down to 10,000, World Travel 1392. Alright, we've got an engine failure on the left-hand side. Make a normal descent to 10,000. With a possible fuel leak, restarting the engine could be a fire risk, so let's secure it. Ready for the checklist? Here we go. Engine failure shutdown checklist. Auto throttle, disengaged. Thrust lever, idle. Engine start lever, cut off. APU, start. APU generator, on. Engine failure shutdown checklist complete. Okay, let's look at our options here. We're about 90 miles north of Mali International, and we can easily make it there as long as the fuel leak doesn't cause additional problems. Hanamaru Airport is quite a bit closer to the north, but it's a short strip, so we run the risk of going off the runway if we try to land it there. It's your call, Captain. You can turn to the south to Male, or turn north if you'd rather try for Hanamaru.
Let's go to Male.
World Travel 1392, roger. Proceed direct to Male.
Continue descending to 10,000 and use the nav display to head for Mali. Identifier, Victor Romeo Mike Mike.
There we go, much better. Actually, hang on, what would be a little bit easier is if I change it to heading select. And, geez, I actually... Alright, so I'll be honest, The controls in the virtual cockpit of a 737 are a little bit annoying, but I really want to make this. Alright, there we go. Now, I'm going to cut my rate of descent a little bit. I'm actually going to turn off the heading select, and I'm going to fly straight to Mali. Now, there's a reason why I'm being so careful about this. Because Mali is actually very far away, like, ridiculously far away. If both engines fail, then we would have a huge issue, and yeah, I might want to turn my APU on. I totally forgot about that. Now, funny thing is that in real life, the APU generator will not save you in a fuel leak situation. In fact, the 737 would pretty much be dead in the water if there was a dual engine failure and it was because of a fuel leak. The reason is because the APU runs off of jet fuel, for one, and secondly, the 737 doesn't have a ram air turbine, or if it does, I have no idea where it is. I've never seen them. I work around 737s. I'm in the pit of them every day, so I'd be kind of surprised if there was in fact a rat port, because I've never seen one. But the fuel is in fact leaking. I should probably correct with rudder as well, because I need to make it as... I need to get as close to the airport as possible without having a failure, because let's just say that this is very far out. The world record for the longest glide in a passenger jet, I believe, is 70 nautical miles. And engine number 2 is going to be failing any time now, because that is the mission. Maybe it won't, I don't know.
Surge. Number 2. Engine failure. Okay, now we have a problem. Turn on the fasten seatbelt sign. I'll call ATC. Mali Center, World Travel 1392.
World Travel 1392, go ahead.
Center, World Travel 1392. We now have 2 engine failures and a suspected fuel leak, so we'd rather not risk restarts. Looks like we're a glider from here on down.
World Travel 1392, roger. Proceed at your discretion. State number of souls on board.
155 souls, World Travel 1392. Alright, Captain. Maintain 190 knots in the descent for best glide, and let's secure this one. Engine failure shutdown checklist. Auto throttle, disengaged. Thrust lever, idle. Engine start lever, cut off. APU, start. APU generator, on. Engine failure shutdown checklist complete. I'll call the cabin. Yeah, hi. We're having a little trouble up here. We have a fuel leak which has led to dual engine failures. We're well within gliding distance of Mali, so no need to panic. Yeah, I'll alert the passengers. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first officer speaking. We've experienced some engine problems related to the fuel system.
Only minor engine
result,
problems,
both engines have shut down. Now, due to the leak, we don't want to risk an in-flight start, so we're making an emergency diversion to Mali International Airport. A dual engine failure is a very unusual and highly unlikely occurrence, but we're currently well within gliding distance of Mali. It's a beautiful day, and air traffic control is giving us priority handling, so we should be on the ground shortly without any problems. We thank you for your cooperation in remaining calm, and ask you to please follow any instructions given to you by the flight attendants. We'll update you as we get closer to the airport.
Yeah, I love how you just bullshit them like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask you to please return to your seats and remain seated for the duration of our flight with your seatbelts fastened. In preparation for landing, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in the upright and fully locked position. We'll be passing through the cabin to pick up any remaining service items and ask that you please stow all loose articles beneath your seats. We'll be reviewing the emergency landing procedures shortly. Thank you for your cooperation.
Ha ha ha, I'm gonna fucking die. Alright, so here's what we have in our situation. The perfect gliding speed is going to be 190 knots. The reason for that is because if you go too slow, and I have to pause to, I guess, give you this information because I'd be too distracted otherwise. But anyway, if you go too slow, then what's going to happen is that, well, you may be may have a lower glide speed. You're still not going to go as far, but if you go faster, you may go further, but your rate of descent is going to go down more quickly, so you wouldn't go as far to the point where you're going to impact the ground, if you understand what I'm saying. Now, with the best descent rate, you're going to have it at 190, so I need to keep it anywhere in between 180 and 200 knots. That would be the best ideal thing. Because inevitably there's going to be some margin of error. I'll try not to have some type of margin of error, but if it happens, it happens.
Landmark 627, Marley Centre. Be advised we have an aircraft with a dual engine failure gliding to Marley. In an effort to ensure the runway is clear when they arrive, we're holding all traffic to and from the airport. We'll get you in as soon as we can. Until then, proceed direct to the Marley VOR, descend and maintain 10,000. Hold east inbound on the 098 degree radial. Expect approach clearance in 4-5 minutes.
No worries. Direct to the VOR down to 10,000 and we'll hold east inbound on the 098 degree radial. We'll expect further clearance in 45 minutes. Landmark 627.
You know,
Landmark 627,
I must admit...
Not a problem. We just hope they get down, okay?
Minus the banter, at which I need to bring up my airspeed. Anyway, I must say that when it comes down to it, horror of real life has been scarier to me than what you'd see in most movies, such as monsters, evil masked monsters with chainsaws, horribly scarred monsters that haunt your dreams and then kill you in those said dreams, things like that. Those aren't as scary to me as something that could potentially threaten you in real life, such as, well, a plane crash. That's not to say that I'm afraid of flying. No, I'm not afraid of flying. I'm just afraid of something bad happening if I am flying. When it happens. If that makes any sense. Because, one time when I was taking off at an airport in a Grumman Tiger, what happened is that we had a cylinder that was, we had a cylinder head temperature that was unusually high. It was in the red zone, and when that happens, we obviously need to divert back to the airport we took off from. Afterwards, the air traffic control asked how many souls were on board. I always wondered why they said souls. I'm guessing maybe every once in a while a plane is carrying a cadaver, so it's very good to be specific about the number of living people in case of an emergency. My flight instructor said that it had to do with telling the news in case we all die and whatnot. Which, I don't know. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But needless to say, while we were heading back to the airport, I was thinking, oh shit, is this plane going to catch fire? And if this plane catches fire, am I going to die? That to me was truly fucking terrifying, as you could no doubt guess. In a situation like this, however, it would be mind-numbingly difficult to concentrate, to keep cool. I mean, you would have to obviously do your job, but it would admittedly be kind of difficult if you're staring death in the face. I mean, already we've lost about 15,000 feet. But I'd say that we are still within gliding distance. Still, if this were a real-life situation, I probably wouldn't have chosen Male. The reason being is because Hanamaru is a lot closer. If we make this landing, then we would be the second longest gliding passenger aircraft to make it to an airport. Which is a scary thought, nonetheless. But it is a thought to consider. Now, there's several things that you can do in order to make it to the said runway. You could put in your spoilers. You could put in your flaps, though if you have a fuel leak, I don't think that's going to be possible. You could also use the spoilers if you needed to. You could put it into a slip. Did I say spoilers twice or slip twice? I don't know. There are a lot of things that you can do in this circumstance. For me, I'm going to wait until the very last minute, then I'm going to put in full flaps, full gear. I'm also going to set my auto brake to max. So that is a really stupid, insanely stupid virtual cockpit that Microsoft came up with, but it doesn't matter. I should probably turn this off. No point in leaving it on. But I heard, in a circumstance like this, all you'll be hearing is the howling wind outside, and, you know, these planes are still going very fast. So you can imagine, if it were to hit the water, the effects would be pretty devastating. I mean, there are videos out there of a plane being torn in half the moment it hit the water. Now, there are several reasons as to why it happened, but the main factor was speed. You have a very fast airplane hitting water, and at that speed, you might as well be hitting concrete. There is the landing in the Hudson that Captain Chesley made. So it is possible, but considering we're in the middle of Africa, I could imagine it would be not a good place to land, especially since there would be sharks. If you land in the water, you're away from emergency response. There have been successful water landings before, but it's something you never really want to risk. Well, we'll find out if we make it. But if we do make it at an airport, then that is good news for you, because that means that you're going to be able to receive emergency attention. You're going to have access to all the hospitals, and even if you're in Africa, at least medical attention of any kind is good. It'll save your life. And as it stands right now, whether or not I'll make it is a very good question, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Of course, the question is that if I don't make it by chance, what will I do? I just make it past some smog layer. I had no idea there'd be smog in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Water must be warm, though. I mean, if we're thinking of the Gulf Stream, it's taking water all the way from the equator, right? Must be nice and warm. Maybe these guys could go for a swim. Dark humor is at its best, isn't it? Nope. Too slow. I need to pick up the pace.
World Travel 1392, contact Male approach now on 119.7.
World Travel 1392 switching. Thanks for your help.
My pleasure. Good luck.
Male approach World Travel 1392 with you with 2 engines out, gliding towards Male.
World Travel 1392, you're cleared for the visual approach to runway 18.
Ground equipment is standing by. World Travel 1392, roger.
Really, because I don't see any fucking airport. Oh, the graphics rendering is brilliant. I wonder if Prepared 3D has a better rendering distance than FSX. It must. I mean, I'd have good faith in it that it would. Going a little too fast there. Whoa! A wild runway appeared. Alright. Now we're talking. Now we're quite a bit closer. I am going to align myself up with a runway. At this point, I don't know if aligning sooner rather than later is a better option, but I would argue yes. Yes, it is. But admittedly, we are a little high. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to slip. Now, what slipping does is that it takes your... when you bank one way and then turn the rudder the other way, with the nose down, mind you, then that will slow the plane down and make you descend a little bit more.
Contact Molly Tower now on 118.1. World Travel 1392 switching, thanks.
Spoilers will also get the job done.
Molly Tower, World Travel 1392, gliding down the visual for 18 with 2 engines out.
World Travel 1392, roger. You're number 1, runway 18, cleared to land. Emergency equipment is standing by. Good luck, sir.
Cleared to land, World Travel 1392, thanks.
Now, the funny thing is that I have glided marvelously. Granted, this is no A350. If it were an A350, we would be descending a lot faster than we are now. Sorry, a little bit distracted there. But yes, we are pretty close to the airport. I'd argue that we're definitely within gliding distance. But truth be told, you really have to be very precise if you want to make it to Male. Male is far away, and as I said before, it is not an airport that you just simply... well, that's the best way to put it. It's not your first option. Your first option should be the first airport you see, and if that means going around in circles just to make it to the runway, so be it. It's a closer airport, use it. Hanamato was a better option, but I'll just put it this way.
We're about 4 miles from the runway now. Lower the landing gear, slowly add full flaps, and reduce speed to 140 knots for the approach. Almost there. Landing checklist. Landing gear, down. Flaps set for landing. Landing checklist complete.
Sync rate. Pull up. Sync rate.
Oh,
Sync
jeez. It's still a little bit nerve-wracking, I must admit.
Sync rate. Sync.
Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Oh, you know what? I almost made it.